Welcome back to another episode featuring the 540 E39. So I know I said the last video would be the last video, but this video will actually be the last video, because what we're gonna do in this video, if you remember from the last one, we actually got a test drive out of it. However, that ended in really bad engine noises, oil pressure light, and a lot of check engine lights, or codes. Function inlet camshaft control bank 1, inlet camshaft control bank 2, misfiring at several cylinders, misfire detection cylinder 5, misfire detection cylinder 8, knock sensor, misfire. So what we're gonna do, since I'm gonna do it anyway with this parts car, we're gonna yank out the M62, we're gonna tear it down, and we're gonna try to identify just what went wrong in this engine. I think it'll be educational, it'll be fun. Tearing these cars down is always kind of it's kind of like Zen, right? It's kind of fun, you know, knowing that it doesn't have to go back together, so you don't have to be super cautious with things. So let's get into it. We're gonna see what went wrong in here. To start, we're gonna go ahead and get this front bumper off. I'm just gonna take the whole front end of the car off because that's just gonna be easier. This does not mount how I thought it mounted. Okay, fog lights weren't connected. That was a pretty easy bumper removal. DIY electric fan that a lot of you guys found pretty funny, wired into the engine bay here. Ooh, she got some zap right there. Wow. And a hell of an easy to pull front end, I will say right there. Now let's see if there's AC in it. This will be a next halt. Ooh, yes there is a lot of AC in it. I'm going to run underneath the car, disconnect the drive shaft, disconnect the exhaust. I'm probably not gonna film it because it's really annoying filming underneath, especially when I do this stuff on jack stands. There's not much room for the camera, so I'll be back as soon as I have everything underneath the car disconnected. All right, so we got the entire exhaust, well, I don't know why I said entire, there was half of an exhaust missing, but got the exhaust down, and we got the trans stuff all unhooked, drive shafts out. So get this out. Oh, look at this. That is, you probably can't see it too easy on camera, but it is super gray. Oh, it's actually, no, it's not that bad. It was gray at first. It actually doesn't look that horrible. Yeah, I don't know, that's not, I don't think that looks anything too abnormal. Definitely not clean oil, but we're gonna have to dig deeper than that to figure out what went wrong with this thing. Motor mount ground off. Drain the power steering pump. I never do this from this part because usually these don't actually have a drain. This is literally the hardest power steering line I've ever encountered. Oh, there we go. One hose done. Oh, Jesus. Seemingly very simple. All right, it's time to dump this coolant out. Oh, there's still a little residual coolant in here. I literally can't get the radiator out because of all these surrounding hoses. There we go. Okay, radiator. We're gonna move this up and out of the way towards the AC side because, as I said, it's full. So that means we're gonna have to undo the power steering cooler. Let's see if I can get this all the way like an E46 up and out of the way. Oh, there we go. We got access to the full front of our engine now. That's what I was hoping for. Man, that makes things very easy. Now all that's left is 2 coolant hoses on the back and our 2 fuel lines, which is the quick connect. Oh, that's nice. Quick connection fuel lines. Oh, okay, 1, 2. Oh yeah, it's just like an E46 in here. It's actually it for inside. But then we got the ground right there. That's a 10 mil. Ugh. Couple relays. Positive connections, and there we go. Okay. Harness is all disconnected. And just like that, we are ready to hook up the hoist and start yanking, I think. Oh, got a little ambitious right there. Almost sent the damn thing through the hood. This rear bracket was not reinstalled. That is crazy. That is gonna make this so much more difficult. What we did was wrapped a ratchet strap around kind of the header in a way. Now the front, we're gonna use the hoist point as we should. Just start going for it. Oh, Jesus. We have liftoff. There we go. I think the hood is gonna have to go into service mode. Actually, we have a positive battery terminal. It's clipped to the subframe. The E39 conveniently has service mode on the hood, so we can go up higher. I disconnected all the positive stuff. I think the heavy trans is just giving us a really gnarly tilt. Oh, God. Okay. Motor mount. So now our AC can drop. We are still very jammed up. Oh, there she goes. Oh my God, it's moving a lot. Let's lower this. And just like that, our M62 is uninstalled. So now I'm going to, off camera, get this in the garage, disconnect the transmission, get it up on a stand, and then we will reconvene probably tomorrow. And I'm going to start to tear this thing down and see if we can better understand what just went wrong within this bad boy. Whew, that was fun. All right, we got our patient M60 here on the stand, ready for diagnosis. I already took the engine harness off just to get things out of the way. So now the plan of attack here is I'm actually gonna start at the oil pan, and I'm not gonna tip the engine, which may seem weird, but I've been getting a lot of guesses as to what we think kind of went wrong. And one that I really like is someone said you probably broke some chain tensioner and it got lodged in the pan and clogged the pickup tube and starved the engine of oil. That's a very good idea. So I want to start here as it is, because when I pull it down, I want to see if there's either nuts and bolts from the oil pump in there or if there's chain tensioner. And I really do think that we're kind of going to find something down there, at least something. So, I mean, we had really bad noise, but we also had oil pressure lights. So, like, I'm thinking we have more than one sort of failure here. Oh, God, oil. Oh my God. Oh yeah, we have our oil pressure answer, that's for sure. Holy crap. What in the hell? You guys could probably already see what we're starting to see in the bottom of this pan. which is a hell of an interesting assortment. So we have an O-ring. What this O-ring would be for, almost looks like it's the level sensor O-ring. Why that would be in the bottom of the pan, I don't know. This is a crazy one. One of our valve cover grommet and nuts is in the pan, so no wonder why I was missing them. I don't know how that falls into the pan is pretty nuts. And then we have some actual kind of carnage. A bunch of pieces of plastic, which that's our guide. Chunks of RTV. More plastic. But we do have a metal piece with thread holes in it. So there's the threads. This looks like it's metal. What would this be from? I don't know. These have got to be chain guides. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but looking up in the pickup tube, it is clogged with debris. Oh my God. The whole pickup tube is clogged. Oh my God, the whole thing is jammed with this stuff. What the hell? It looks, oh yeah, it looks like it's timing chain that just got dragged through the engine and broken into a million pieces. I mean, I thought this stuff would be heavy enough to settle and not get sucked up. I guess not. There's everything I found clogged up in the pickup tube. I threw like that metal piece in there, which is also, I think, a piece of the chain guide. Yeah, so this looks like one of the chain guides, probably the stupid U guide that we've discussed before and how dumb it is, probably grenaded itself and just got chucked around through the timing chain until it was ground down into this to the point where it just got sucked into the pickup tube. The engine starved of oil, and we basically fried our heads because of oil starvation. Just because I want to dig down further and actually see firsthand what part failed, let's dig more into this. To start, let's do the easiest thing. Let's actually pull up a valve cover and see what one of the heads looks like. Let's see if there's actually signs of severe oil starvation and kind of how that looks and where to, basically if these heads are condemned. I mean, I think they are. I have spare heads. I would never build an M62 again using these heads. So really all I care about is the bottom end. I may get in there and see if the rod bearings look like they got scorched, because that would be a bad thing. You had oil starvation, and we were missing studs. If you could see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the studs that hold down the oil sprayer bars. So without the bolts in here, you have basically all these open orifices, and if this is supposed to be oil spraying on the cams, you're not getting that. That's why we had that gnarly oil leak and oil splatter in the engine bay, because all the oil that's supposed to be going in the cams was just shooting out what would have been the valve cover studs. So, I mean, we definitely did starve them. The lobes themselves look all right, but I think what we want to see is probably the actual cam journals. So let's do that really quick, because I mean, we're just gonna have fun with this. These heads are junk. It's like, honestly, that doesn't look that bad. It does look a little scored. It does look like it's probably not perfectly oiled, but I don't think it looks like it's starved. But I would like to hear you guys' opinion on that. I don't know. Man, I just had a head of part 2. If I had my good heads next to me, I would pull those and compare them. But There's nothing you can feel with your hand. So, I mean, those don't seem completely wrecked. So we don't have a definitive answer on the heads. They don't look great, but they also don't look that bad. I mean, we kind of do know what happened here, but I want to see it with my own 2 eyes. So we're going to get access to the front timing chain, and we're going to go ahead and look and really see the guide that broke and everything about it. What went wrong here? I would never want to own an M62 because this is a hell of a lot of work, especially if the engine's in the car, to get to a completely failure-prone part. Oh! Okay, that wasn't bad. Metal impeller, nice. So I think the alternator can stay in its thing. It's going to be heavy, but it can stay. Oh my God, easy. Absolutely easy. Up. Oh! Heavy ass alternator. Holy crap. So I finished up filming the theory behind this, and then I further dug into it, and now I have removed those clips, and we're gonna start fresh. You guys remember the story with when I bought the car? It was, he opened it up for some reason, timing chain guides, something, and then put it all back together and it was having issues. So I'm not really sure what was done, why it was done. As you guys know, plastic and just debris clogged the pickup tube, which caused our low oil pressure, which I think in turn is just what caused all the noisy heads. I cut open the oil filter. There's no metal in there. Like, I don't think we wore the engine, spun a rod, or anything like that. But I think we were just listening to basically a head that didn't have any oil in it, especially with the lack of grommets on these oil banjos or the sprayer bars. So that kind of answers that question, right? We understand why it was loud. We understand why there was low oil pressure. But what I don't understand is what was everything that was clogging the pickup tube. Now, I have noticed in various different parts of this engine, they used excessive RTV, so that definitely didn't help. Like, just here for the timing cover, I mean, look at this. I mean, this is a glob of RTV. So they undoubtedly over RTV'd this engine, but we still have plastic. And the plastic is what's really confusing. So the main reason I didn't like the clips from earlier is because I talked about, oh, the U-guide was broken and that's all the pieces that we found in our pickup. Well, I grabbed the U-guide from the other M62 that is now in the 840, which had no issues. And as you guys can see, they are identical. So these parts that I thought were broken is how it's supposed to be. This part right here, it's how it's supposed to be. Both these U-guides are in, I would say, perfect shape. I mean, hardly even any wear on them. So the U-guide off of this engine is dated 09. The U-guide off the other engine was dated 2013. So it's clear to me that most M62s probably aren't using their original U-guides because they probably failed. But this is wearing a U-guide from 2009, which means unless he somehow used a new old stock U-guide, which maybe is possible, I don't think the guy I got it from did the U-guide or the timing chain guides on this. This guide's intact, the tensioner guide's intact, so there is no evidence of the active guides on this engine being bad. But what I'm thinking, mixed with the plastic and metal and stuff in the pickup, especially this piece right here, this pretty much mimics that piece right there, that which is where the oil comes in for the U-guide. So between that and then all the plastic chunks, I'm thinking that this engine, obviously, whether it was before 2009 or after, suffered some sort of timing chain guide failure. I mean, they're notorious for that. There's nothing really else in here that could, I think, drop plastic into this engine except for these guides. There's nothing else in there, right? So this is not the culprit. That's why I want to remake these clips. But I'm thinking maybe it had a U-guide failure, and then after all this time, no one ever cleaned out the oil pan. That's what I don't really understand. Because if it's not off of this guide that was in this engine, then that cannot be the most recent failure point. That stuff has had to have been clogging that pickup tube for God knows how long. And if it's just a neglected motor that's never had the pan dropped, few oil changes, I guess that's probably realistic for happening, though it seems a little crazy. So I really don't know. Maybe you M62 experts will help me out on this. I think my theory makes sense. I mean, it's evident there was a clogged pickup tube with plastic and RTV. What the plastic and RTV is from, well, the RTV we know, but what the plastic's from, a little bit unclear, because it's not from this guide. So maybe it was in the past. Maybe the guy replaced these a couple months ago and somehow got his hands on a new old stock guide. I don't really know. If you guys look in the oil filter here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there is a lot of gunk. It's hard to say if it's RTV, ground down plastic, or just, engine gunk. But I mean, it's not really metally, which is good, because I don't think this engine suffered fatal wear. I think the head's definitely starved of oil, but nothing got destroyed. The bottom end, in my mind, is still perfectly fine. We just have a lot of crap in our oil filter, but that means it was doing its job. I mean, yeah, it's just a lot of plastic debris and garbage. A really interesting end to this engine. Honestly, a little confusing. Maybe you guys will have some insights for me, but in any way, that is the finale of our E39 series. You can see there, she's amidst a part out. I know it's disappointing to a lot of you, but it had to be done. I've been selling parts off it all weekend, so it's missing door now. I mean, it's too far gone at this point, but there's our diagnosis, or our half diagnosis of M62. I wish I had a little bit more definitive of an answer, but sometimes you just got to work with what you can pick up with what you got. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Not sure what car it'll be on, but I'll see you then. Peace.